So I'm actually quite proud of myself for the title for this one. Because we'll be having a fight with the criminal Alias from part 3, I think it was. We'll actually be dealing with him this part. So I'm actually quite proud of myself. I figured I decided I would name this part Anti-Aliasing.
That was bad.
Yes, it was.
I'm going to make so much money.
Okay. All right, your pun's very clever, but I don't know what anti-aliasing is.
It's a graphical effect that actually smooths out the look of graphics.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah, in
I
layman's
knew it was a graphical effect. What? I knew that it was a graphical
I think
effect.
it's-
You know, like when you
I just-
you know
I
when
can't
you
tell the
use
difference.
3ds. You know when you use 3ds capture card and you get jaggies, like at the on the edge of the 3D models and all that sort of thing, kind of makes them look a little rough.
I guess, sure.
You'd see it if you saw it in action, but
Anti-aliasing
gets
smooths
rid
those
of
out.
that.
Yeah, it smooths those
Yeah.
out. Sometimes it has, negative effects on the rest of the graphics depending on the type of anti-aliasing you use. But that's getting into the technical stuff that you only care about if you're a PC gamer. So,
Can I run it at 5,000 frames per second?
if you have a really good PC, I suppose. But the thing is, anti-aliasing as an effect usually slightly lowers the frame rate. So,
Usually because it's trying to render something on top of what's going on.
yeah. It's kind of a filter, I think.
Yeah, but for now we are helping the police.
Yeah, well, that one computer setting that always has like the option FXAA, I think that's anti-aliasing. So, there you go. You learned something today, kids. Unless you already knew it, in which case...
You learned
Kinda
that I
waste your
learned
time.
it, which is technically learning something.
You get to
guess.
watch this baby chick here learn how to waddle.
Hey, man. Just because that analogy is accurate doesn't mean that I'm not offended by it. Wait, we're talking to... Is that phone evil, or is that phone a good guy?
No,
It's
it's
a
not. It's not healing, Spooge.
Aw. Does the
Walkie-talkie,
phone...
though, not a phone.
Oh, does it have eyes and face and then sweat
No.
oil when it gets nervous? Aw.
No.
Are we going to interrogate this thing?
Not even in the top 10 most ridiculous Ace Attorney moments is interrogating that stupid walkie-talkie.
Oh, I thought you were making a Splatoon 2 reference.
I started off, but then I changed it to
Okay.
into an Ace Attorney reference because that case is the best one in the series. Don't at me.
Oops, wrong button. One thing I kind of like about Kat is, like, without being super exaggerated about it, she's kind of a ditz. And that's
Well, mostly
interesting.
because she has no idea what's going on.
It's interesting because you don't usually see that played as a genuine character flaw so much as an over exaggerated comic relief.
Yeah,
aspect.
kind of like the, oh my god, like you really sort of see it in the minor, oh my god, girlfriend kind of side character who, if they are
Valley Girl,
major
Valley
in any
Girl.
sort of way, it's only just because they're a jerk to other smarter characters, You don't, especially with female characters, you don't get to see, well, I mean, you do, I guess, see... It depends on what sorry, I'm backtracking on myself all over the place because you do see some traits of that. Like, for example, getting lost really easily is a trait that people give, that especially anime type stuff give female characters all the
Linkle.
time. Linkle, Bravely Default too. Agnes.
Yeah, and what I mean is it's played as a character trait here and not necessarily just as a massive comic relief point.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I guess
I mean,
that's what I meant too.
It can be funny and charming at times, but it's also kind of just there as a personality trait a lot of the time, and that kind of makes it funnier when it's supposed to be funny because the big haha moments, if they only exist to be big haha moments, well they become obvious and that sort of numbs you to it after a while.
If that character's only purpose to be there is to be like, it only works for so long before you get tired of that character's shtick, if that's their only joke.
Like
Basically.
Thor in Ghostbusters.
There's a Thor in Ghostbusters? Oh, you're talking about Chris Hemsworth. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I do think, I really do like the scenes, like, I think
he had some funny stuff, but the fact that he was just there to be that guy, kind of.
I do think that before it gets too old, though, they do have him get possessed by the villain, and then he's really, really funny, I think, there, too. Chris Hemsworth, I think, is... I think probably less so now that Ragnarok is out, and that movie's hilarious, but he is a great comedic actor. So I hope that once he's done getting unlimited money from Marvel, he goes to do, like, comedies exclusively.
He had some good low-key comedy moments in the original Thor 2. But,
I love one of my
original
favorite...
Thor, not Thor 2.
No, Thor 2 is... But the coffee scene where he's just like, this is good, I'll have another, and then he just throws it on the ground is one of my favorite moments from the first phase of the MCU.
He treats it like an ale mug at a tavern. Yeah, that was...
Yeah, it's just like...
There's Yeah, that was like... The Ghostbusters movie was such an up-and-down experience.
No, Lewis, you have to say that the Ghostbusters movie ruined your childhood. Otherwise...
Well, it wasn't... Well, that would be a lie, because I didn't watch Childhood until I was fucking 28, so...
Say what?
I didn't watch Ghostbusters until I was 28.
You said childhood.
Oh, you said childhood.
Oh, right. Well, I didn't watch Ghostbusters until I was 28, is what I meant to say. And
Well,
I
now I
actually...
gotta look up and say there's one we call childhood.
The actual impetus for me watching that was because I was like, I do the roleplay forum thing where, you know, we cooperatively write about characters in their adventures, and one of their friendship threads was watching Ghostbusters, and we actually went the whole 10 miles with it and actually had them watch the movie scene by scene and commentate over it. So in order to do that, I had to watch the movie.
So Google autofilled my search for childhood movie with childhood movies, and it just gave me a list of shit. And I want to see if Google's right about this sort of thing.
Oh, you mean you were looking?
It just gave me a list of childhood movies that most likely everyone has seen as
so you mean you were going for childhood movie in the sense of not another
just
teen
see
movie.
if there is there a movie called Childhood.
I mean, chances are probably. You know how many movies there are out there?
No, just go to IMDb and search childhood.
Someone should make that parody where it's a parody of everyone's nostalgic childhood movie as seen at the age of 35, but at the same time Hollywood would fuck that parody up. So don't do that, Hollywood, please.
I've seen Lion King, Toy Story, Matilda. I
actually have not seen Matilda. Now that...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's, again, like we tended to watch the same movies over and over again, and if I didn't have it, I didn't watch it, basically, and we didn't have Matilda.
I never heard of Boyhood. The Sandlot I've watched.
Yeah, The
Hook.
Sandlot.
The Sandlot's a fantastic movie.
Yeah. I've seen Hook, Jumanji, Stuart Little I have seen. Goonies, of course.
The Goonies,
Harry
because that's
Potter.
the best movie ever made, John.
Yeah, the list is almost over. I haven't seen James and the Giant Peach in over 20 years. Wow.
I remember that movie.
It kind of gets blurry here. The Land Before Time, I'm not sure which of the 36 movies they're referencing, though. My Girl I've seen, Stand By Me.
When they say The Land Before Time, they probably mean
Stand By Me is weird to watch now because Kiefer Sutherland's the bully in that movie.
I forget, was The Land Before Time before or after they started portraying dinosaurs really active?
This was before Jurassic Park.
This is before Jurassic Park.
So they were all dragging their tails around and all that stuff?
Yeah, it was also Don Bluth, so...
Don Bluth film.
Well, to Don Bluth too, we're back.
I don't think he did. It might have been his studio, but I don't think it was him.
I remember it having
All right,
really good
and of
animation.
course-
So when I see an animated movie from back then that had really good animation, my two go-to thoughts are Disney or Don Bluth. So
Oh, okay. And of course, I've watched Big, or as kids will call it today, Shazam.
Is that the Shaquille O'Neal movie? Where
No,
he's
because
a-
that's Kazam.
That's Kazam.
Okay. I mean, when's he going to join the DCEU? I mean,
I mean, he played Steel, and Steel's DC.
which Steel?
The superhero.
The really awful
what was
one?
his name? What was
There was a-
what was yeah?
it's a
there's
Shaquille
only one
O'Neal
Steel
movie, so what do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was his name in the continuity? John Irons, I think it was.
Yeah,
or something
John
like-
Henry Irons.
No, Jeremy Irons is
Jeremy Irons is an actor.
is an actor. Yeah.
John
No,
Henry Irons, because Steel was meant to...
Steel driving, man.
Yeah.
Yes, Steel was meant to... His name was in honor of the historical figure, so... Yeah, that wasn't exactly subtle in Steel's introduction back in the day. They actually directly stated as much.
He's a literal Man of Steel.
Yeah, basically.
If I remember, he's the guy who tried to match the output of like automated assembly line work and died in the process, but managed it.
He's a playable character in Codename Steam. He shoots grenades at people.
He did it, and as romantic as the notion was, I think it defeats the point if you die in the process. So.
Welcome to America today, folks.
Yeah, yeah. That's you're not wrong.
Yeah, Alias's boss fight is really lame. You just fight a bunch of Nevi, which you've already been doing.
Mook Rush boss fights.
Flunkies. I love flunky bosses. I hate them.
That feel when you're excited to fight the Joker and then you just fight goons the entire time.
You fight Titan Joker.
You fight Titan Joker for 2 seconds. Then you fight goons.
Man, it's so weird going back to Arkham Asylum nowadays, because at the time it was such an amazing game, but, you know, the world has moved on.
Yeah, but you know what, though? For as better as the other games are, and they are, I can still play Arkham Asylum.
I can still play it, too. It's just the perspective is weird, because there's so much... We've advanced so far on so many of the basic aspects of what made that game good at the time. So it's like... It's a good historical piece as far as game development goes.
Well, that game came out in, like, what, 2009? So it's old
2009.
now. Yeah, that game's almost 10 years old now. So
it's almost 10 years old. So it's interesting more now for the perspective it gives you on the way game development tropes advanced. Because we were in that position where they were still developing the things that are really super common now, and they also hadn't gotten really super into the every character action game is over the shoulder now, so you can actually pull the camera back during combat, which actually turns out to be mechanically superior to
Arkham Asylum in itself was a twofer, because it was not only introducing mechanics that we would later refurbish in due time, but it was also a licensed game that introduced a lot of those mechanics, which was unheard of at the time.
You can have it was also a point to be made for licensed games and quality. Like, you don't necessarily like, developers have no one to blame but themselves if the game sucks.
Well, that's not necessarily true. Most licensed games are given $5.
I say developers in a really loose sense. What I actually mean is developer plus publisher, the entire package of the people who make and fund the game.
A lot of licensed games from the beginning of gaming till about Arkham were more or less, let's just make a cheap game and the license will sell it.
The video game.
Also, they also, you have to understand, in terms of, like, especially movie licenses as well, they were most likely pressured by the studio.
You need to get this done in 6 months as cheap as possible.
Yeah.
Go now.
Yeah, it's like they saw the video game the same way they saw the cartoon, which was like, this is a commercial for our toy line. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the movie itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God. But you don't even really see many licensed games these days anymore.
Because it's the same problem with the movie games, where it's like the reputation was just so ridiculously bad. You couldn't justify the cost.
I think I think after 2008 is when it stopped.
Yeah, you saw a few in the early 2010s, but that's really it.
Arkham blew everything out of the water, and the reputation was just so ridiculously bad that people just weren't buying them based on the fact that...
if it's not like Arkham in any sense of the word, don't bother.
If it's not, it's licensed games that made the only licensed games I can think of are ones that, like, were a big deal, like DuckTales, for example. Like,
DuckTales, NES Batman.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like, I'm talking about the newer game, the remastered. That was a big deal.
Well, that's because it was a copy of an NES game that was actually good.
Yeah, I know, but, like, if they were releasing, like, a DuckTales 3D platformer for, like, Wii U or whatever, nobody would give a shit. Yeah. So it's,
I think the ratio of good to bad licensed games was potentially actually a little bit better in the NES days, because designing a good game was more of a simple process. You needed fewer people for. I mean, there's the LGN library that kind of skews the numbers a bit. But
and even then, that was really haphazard, because there were some that were okay. Like, I hear people talk about Spider-Man and Venom games, or Maximum Carnage. People talk about.
Yeah, Maximum Carnage is actually okay.
That was LGN, I believe. Yeah, I would say around
You also got
5th generation.
You also got
That's
weirdly,
N64, right?
That's
Yeah.
N64
Yeah,
PS1.
N64
I would say
PS, N64 and GameCube era are really bad with that.
Yeah,
with
I mean,
the license
like
stuff.
there are also some really, really weirdly good licensed games from back in the day that are still really interesting to play now. Phantom 2040 is one. Jurassic Park is another. There was another one I had in mind. Alien 3 on the Super Nintendo, I believe. Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis. It was one of the two, where it was basically a Metroid game, which
did
is
you ever play
really
Alien
meta.
Did you ever play Alien vs Predator, like the
No.
arcade
Game?
beat 'em up game?
No,
Yeah.
I've never been
Isn't
exposed
that a
to
Doom
it.
clone?
No. You're thinking of the Sega Saturn PS1 game, I believe, Ted.
Okay.
No, Alien vs Predator was a Capcom beat 'em up game in lieu of like I would say Final Fight or Streets of Rage. Fantastic.
Also,
There's also-
bye, Alias, into the trash compactor with you. I'm sure we'll never see you again.
There's also the Battle for Bikini Bottom's a great game too, but that's a little bit
Yeah,
newer.
but that was clearly an exception though, rather.
Yeah, for sure. Like, because the SpongeBob, fun fact, the SpongeBob game that came out right before Battle for Bikini Bottom, Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, was so bad that the studio that made it went out of business after it came out. Yeah.
Wow. Aliases. That was not pleasant.
And I'm sure we'll never see him again.
He
We're seeing the
survives
next
that?
part, aren't we?
Well,
Well, no,
of course he survives that. You guys remember Captain Phasma?
Well,
No, she
we
got
didn't
thrown
actually,
in the trash compactor off screen, though. To
Yep,
be fair,
we didn't actually see the trash compactor close on her, though.
You didn't actually see him get crushed, though, now, did you? Did you?
I mean, she has a radio. She probably just called someone down to get her the fuck out. It's not that big a plot hole, guys. Jesus.
I mean, I think she's
Where could he
probably
be?
still alive after Last Jedi.
Oh, she's definitely still. She's definitely still.
She
alive.
got like what
course
sucked
she
into
is.
space into an explosion or something like that. Like
She fell through the floor when it was blowing up.
yeah,
So-
she's still alive. Of course she is. Because if
Well, they didn't-
Boba Fett can survive being eaten alive, then she can too.
I'm not going to give you that because that was bullshit tacked on expanded
we
universe
gotta stop.
bullshit.
We gotta stop. Otherwise, this part will
You
go on
know
for like
it.
10 more minutes.